George. Super excited to be
Hi.
here. Lovely to have you. I guess for those of who don't know you, the best way to describe your role would be you're the founder of Future Up, which is a
Yeah.
startup focused on using AI to do price optimization.
Yes, and thanks for the invite, Claire. Glad to be here and looking forward to our discussion today.
Yeah, well, I've got loads of questions for you, but I
Great.
guess let's just dive straight into it. The first
Okay.
question would be, can you just give us like a very quick overview on what we really mean by AI-driven pricing? Is it like just dynamic pricing or is there more to it?
There's more to it. That's the short answer.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the answer.
But that's actually a common misunderstanding because most of people out there think that dynamic pricing is all there is to it in AI-based price optimization. It's not like that at all. AI-based price optimization and pricing is all about using AI models, obviously, and algorithms in order to optimize prices. That means to find the best possible price to sell per country, for instance, or for a specific product or a specific market segment. The algorithm does that by taking into consideration various parameters. It could be your sales data, it could be pricing or market research data, it could be weather conditions, market conditions, supply demand characteristics. I mean, whatever is available can be factored in into these models. Now, this has several forms, and one of the forms is what we call dynamic pricing. So, dynamic pricing is practically real time pricing. So, the
Mhm.
algorithm works in real time and produces several different prices. It could be not just prices, but also some alternative products to cross sell, upsell. When you are using Amazon, for instance, this is an example, a perfect example, and quite successful of dynamic pricing. The same with Booking.com for hotel booking, the same with all airline ticketing systems. All these are manifestations of different dynamic pricing systems that we are all using all around the world. And this is why dynamic pricing is so popular because we are using it. It's an everyday,
Mhm.
even as individuals. However, especially in B2B applications, other forms of pricing, not dynamic pricing, not real time, are more frequent. For instance, if you are selling, you are a B2B company and you are selling to different countries, then you want to optimize your pricing per country or market segment, and you do that a few times per year or a few times per month, but you don't do it continuously. It's an every day, it's an every second. So there is a huge difference between dynamic pricing and all other forms of AI-based price optimization.
Got it. So you've mentioned dynamic pricing as one of the examples, right? So obviously we know Amazon has been using, airline has been using this type of pricing for as long as we can remember. I guess my next question to you will be, what is new that AI can bring? Like, how is that different to the traditional statistical analysis or just predictive modeling that we've been discussing?
That's mostly a philosophical question. What
Maybe you have
statistics?
to define what is AI. What is your
Well,
definition of AI?
well, I have perhaps a different and more practical definition of AI
Mm-hmm.
versus statistics. And I usually say that AI is statistics with purpose, business purpose, if
Okay.
we are talking about pricing or sales forecasting. It all has to do with our perception of AI and how it's evolved through time. Because AI was introduced not now, not before a few years
Mm.
or decades, but almost before a century ago.
Mm-hmm.
And back then it had a very, very narrow scope. It was just one thing. We were using different neural networks, mostly neural networks, in order to mimic human intelligence. This is what we call today artificial general intelligence, which is one of the many sub branches of AI today. But back then, it was just that. And that was quite distinct from statistics. Statistics, by the way, predates AI by centuries. So it's an ancient, and way older statistical field than AI. But nowadays, especially during the past couple of decades, there were many developments in AI, and AI was enlarged and broadened in scope. So it captured many different fields, including also statistics, machine learning. So nowadays, AI is have been heavily using many statistical methods like regression analysis, like classification, things like that. But other parts of AI, like deep learning, which is very popular these days, neural networks, they're quite distinct. They do use some statistical methods that are a quite distinct field. That's the scientific part of it, the scientific aspect of it, and there are quite many differences from statistics. But I think the most important thing is the scope and objective. Statistics are a set of statistical and mathematical tools and approaches. We use them with a single objective to predict things or, I don't know, discover some hidden patterns. But there is no actual business purpose or practical purpose behind it. In AI, it's not like that because AI purpose is to mimic human behavior, reactions from simple to highly intellectual and very sophisticated cognitive functions of our human brains. So this is why I said before that for me, AI is statistics with a purpose, and that's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. I think you touched on a really good point, sort of mimic how human thinks, right? And I think that's the area that is almost very controversial. So would you mind sharing with us a little bit more, how do we use that ethically? Because obviously a lot of people see AI-based pricing being unfair or opportunistic. How can we ensure that we use AI in a responsible way?
Okay, that's responsible AI. It has a name now. We all use that, and
Okay.
for a good reason. And actually, this is what happens. You get not responsible AI when you have AI unattended doing its stuff, doing its thing. There is the known fiasco of the Oasis concert in
Mm,
the UK. Ticketmaster, which handled the ticketing part of the concert, they were using some dynamic pricing system for their tickets. And the result of that, because it was unattended, was that the system increased prices by 2, 3 times in just a few hours. And this made all fans furious. And there was a big thing in the social media against the band, against the concert, against dynamic pricing and everything.
yeah.
Eventually, they canceled using the system for their next subsequent concerts. This happened because AI was unattended. If you combine humans together with AI in a collaboration, sort of, then you get
Mm-hmm.
the most out of it. Why? Because AI is great in processing data, producing all the statistical stuff, but it doesn't have common sense. It doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
strategic outlook, overview of things, and also it's not accountable. Like us humans, we are accountable. So this is why
Mm,
humans should always be on the loop in order to have
mhm,
a high level overview of the design of the system, the deployment of the system, and the use of the system. If this doesn't
mm,
happen, then you get not responsible and straight behavior. If it does, then usually everything is great.
mm. So for now, I guess we are focusing more of a machine and human integration. But perhaps in the future, if AI is really advancing so fast, maybe at some stage it will develop some common sense. Would you agree?
I cannot agree or disagree because if this happens right now, it doesn't. If this happens, it will be a different discussion after 100 years, perhaps. But then it will be a completely different discussion anyway. So, right now, what we call AGI, the artificial
Mm-hmm.
general intelligence, is the human equivalent intelligence, including also instincts, including also common sense. It's way beyond our reach right now. Whatever we
Mm-hmm.
have out there, AI wise, I mean, even the most advanced models like ChatGPT, whatever it's out there, it's
Mm-hmm.
not even close to being
Mm-hmm.
AGI. Ask GPT.
Mm-hmm.
It will really
Mm-hmm.
tell you all about it. So it's very difficult to say something
Yeah.
about that and make any
Yeah.
projection.
We'll have to come back to it when it happens.
After 100 years, I hope we will be
Yeah.
both there to discuss this.
I have another question for you. So we
Yes.
know to train any AI models, we need huge amount of data. And, we always say garbage in, garbage out, right? So
Okay.
for companies that doesn't really have that sort of data infrastructure in place, what would be your recommendation for them? How can they leverage AI without necessarily having a sound infrastructure in place?
Yeah, well, the old problem with data, and I hear it all the time from customers, potential customers, we don't have data or they're not of good quality, so we can't do anything with AI. That's not a thing. Obviously, the more data you have, that's a great thing. If they are of great quality, that's even better. But let's face it, life kicks in, and then you see that you don't have a lot of data.
Mm,
You have to live with these limitations. Let me take an example, which is an obvious example, the B2B universe and environment, because there we don't have big data as we have with
yeah.
Amazon, with B2C environments.
Hmm.
You have small data because you don't have lots of customers, you have fewer transactions, and also you don't have visibility. So theoretically, you need to know all your competitors' actions, transactions, prices, and everything. But you don't. Why? Because these are B2B transactions. They are hidden, they are confidential, proprietary information. You have limited or no access. So, what's there is to do there? There are many things that you can do there. Why? Because AI can guess things. Actually, by definition, AI is filling up gaps of missing information, and it can do that because it has some internal sophistication, let's say. Not so much the general purpose AI tools that we see out there that are used in B2C environments with big data, but in B2B environments, it's much better to use econometric models with embedded econometric and business intelligence because they are better in guessing things. And how can you guess when you are missing information like competitors' prices, which is important? Because this is reflected, at least partly, into your sales data to some extent.
Hmm.
So you can test that. You can run your predictive model, your pricing model, your whatever AI model without the missing information, just with your sales data, and see if you get something which is accurate. Accurate means that whatever we predict with the model is close to reality, to actual values. If you get something accurate, then it's a okay. That means that all the missing information, more or less, is embedded with whatever you are using to train your model. But even if not, you can use proxies. So you are
Hmm.
missing competitors' info. Okay, ask your salespeople, especially in
Hmm.
B2B, they should have a sense of your competitors' pricing. Even this proxy could do wonders with the model or do some
Hmm.
pricing research and so on and so forth. There are
Hmm.
ways that we can improve the data sets
Hmm.
that we have and the overall model's performance.
Hmm. That's good because I think a lot of the pushback from the business will be, okay, you're asking me to try this out and to test it. I guess it will really help people if you have any, I suppose, like case studies or success stories from clients that you have worked with. Do you have anything that you might be able to share with us just to make us feel more confident about adopting AI, particularly in the space of B2B?
I have a lot. I have personal stories because this is what I do.
Mhm.
I have people that I know that I
Mhm.
have worked with or I'm just acquainted and I know exactly what they did. And also I have a research, a survey that we did together with Value Based Booster. This is a
Mhm.
company specializing in value-based selling and pricing about AI's adoption in business, including pricing. And this is a very recent survey, by the way. And according to this survey, the adoption for AI-based price optimization is at 16% in businesses. That means that it's still in its early stages, let's say. It's not in the mainstream market. But this also means that more than 1 out of 10 companies have done something with
Mhm.
AI-based price optimization. So there is a big critical mass of people who have experimented. According to their survey and whatever I know from personal experience, most people who have done that, they are from happy to super happy with the
Mhm.
results. And also, what I've seen is that you get an uplift in, let's say, revenue or other indices that are of interest for the company, which range from a few percentage points if we're talking about a bigger, more mature company or product, to even doubling or more your product revenue if we're talking about something smaller, obviously. So the uplift and potential benefit, it's huge, and there are many, many examples out
Mhm.
there in both B2C and the B2B environment as well.
Okay. Well, that's really reassuring, I suppose,
Okay.
because I guess, like you've mentioned, to start with, obviously, we're not expecting business to run this on a big scale. It's always good to sort of like do some small testing, making sure that you've seen some results, and then maybe roll it out on a bigger scale. So that's great. Thank you for sharing. I have another question.
Of
I
course.
guess this is probably more to do with the future developments of AI, right? So from what you can foresee, what do you think the future for AI in pricing lies? Are there new technologies or methods in the horizon that you think more and more businesses will be benefiting from or considering to adopt?
I think you're expecting me now to talk about AGI, but I won't. I will
I
be
wasn't
talking.
expecting anything.
Okay. So it's not AGI. I don't think this is happening anytime soon, but
Mhm,
that's not a problem because we have highly advanced models right now. I think there are a couple of interesting things happening as we speak from the merging of two AI sub-branches. One is predictive AI, which includes price optimization, sales forecasting, all this predictive stuff for businesses. And the other is ChatGPT, Gemini, all the generative AI tools. So I can see two extremely useful use cases. One use case, one example is data retrieval. So exactly what
mhm,
you asked me before, if I don't have data, what can I do? So there are a lot of things that we can do, but also we can improve the discoverability of data out there because with Gen AI, you can structure unstructured information. For instance, we can crawl social media sites and find hidden price information or something else. Or
mhm,
the same internal into the company, you can do the same with comments from salespeople on the CRM system, or things like that. So there are many things that you can use Gen AI in order to structure all this information in something that can be
mhm,
used by predictive models. And that's one direction, extremely important. But the next one is more groundbreaking and doesn't have to do just with predictive AI, but with everything out there. I think that Gen AI is becoming the normal way of communicating with software and hardware, with devices, software, with systems. So instead of using, for software, for instance, instead of using standard fixed menus, options to create something, to present something or whatever, you will have a prompt, an upper layer where you can ask the system to do something. For pricing software, this could be that use my sales data. The system will know how to get all this data, combine it with market data. I want to focus on this or that competitor, and please create the demand curve and give me a what if scenario if prices increase, decrease, or the market increase, decrease, or whatever. And the system will do whatever needs to be done and will create something that can be visualized, exported, used, and so on and so forth. I think
mhm,
that's the biggest breakthrough. And again, it's not just for pricing software, it's
mhm.
for everything out there.
Mm. So, okay, George, I'm now gonna ask you something a little bit more controversial.
Okay, let me prepare
Okay,
for that.
yes. So in the past, right, at least in the B2C world, we used to run a lot of customer research surveys. We would do conjoint analysis. And I have noticed that there has been a school that basically says we don't need to rely on customer research anymore because we can get AI to replicate those research. And obviously, it's great news for companies who don't have the budget to run customer research. But then the more traditional school would argue that, yeah, but it's all machine generated result. How can we trust those results? I'm very curious. What is your view on this topic?
Okay, I don't have a controversial view on this. I
Uh-huh.
have a common sense view. You are doing the market research, pricing research, or whatever. Why? Because you want to discover something new, a new product, new features, new product perceptions, something new, regardless if you are a startup or an established business. And the AI does what? It just retrieves existing information. So it replicates what is out there anyway. But that's not innovative. That's just a replication of the status quo. And this is what you should get away from and not
Mm-hmm.
replicate that. So use
Mm-hmm.
AI for this, and you won't get something creative or innovative.
Mm-hmm.
If, on the other hand, you are using AI for just retrieve information that it's out there, so it's not innovative, it's not groundbreaking, but it will take ages for you to get this
Mm-hmm.
information through traditional searching, then by
Mm-hmm.
all means use AI and you will expedite the whole process and will get great results, depending on the AI tool and the prompt and so on and so forth. So it depends on the level of innovation and creativity that you want to put into this exercise and what you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to achieve. If it is new product development, for instance, forget it. Do the
Mm-hmm.
research and use your mind, not AI.
Mm-hmm. I like your response because this comes down to, what we've been discussing a lot is using common sense, right? Sometimes we just get too overwhelmed by the technology that we have at hand, and we forgot that fundamentally it still has to come down to common sense. So thank you, George. I think this is a very good, I suppose, a good question to wrap up. Really interesting conversation and very glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for the invite. Again, I really enjoyed the discussion. And best of luck to everyone who is not exposed or partly exposed into AI. Embrace it. That's my advice. And enjoy the journey.